This is a Mercedes-Benz. This is a Ford Mustang. BMW, Toyota Tacoma. And what do all these vehicles have in common? Well, it's the fact that they are internal combustion engines, ICE. They run on oil, petroleum, gasoline, some diesel, but not these. But there are some versions that run on diesel. Dinosaur juice, not batteries, not lithium ion powered batteries like Tesla's. And Tesla has been making headlines here recently for a very concerning and alarming situation, being them catching on fire. And no better place than to have this conversation than here in Florida, because the one in particular that I'm talking about is a vehicle that was in, I think it was in Fort Myers, southern part of Florida, experienced a flood. The vehicle was totaled out. It was then transported to California, where it was going to be salvaged and torn apart for parts. However, before that could happen, it spontaneously combusted. The batteries started smoking. The fire department showed up, and long story short, they couldn't extinguish the fire. Now, here's the big problem: the cost. Not only are Teslas extremely expensive vehicles, but they are more expensive to maintain and ultimately destroy because of the batteries. So here's the deal, folks. It took over 6,000 gallons of water to try to put the fire out, and they still couldn't do it. Who's paying for all that? Now, this is not even getting into the likelihood that your Tesla actually makes it to the point of which it needs batteries to be replaced, how much that would be, and ultimately how much more those would cost than the car is actually worth, and the fact that there's really no real means of recycling of the old batteries. So it's a net loss. It's a net environmental, ecological, financial, monetary loss. However, California is spending millions of dollars in this problem. Los Angeles, more importantly, last time we went to LA, actually the first and last time we went to LA was 2 years ago, summer of 2022. And I don't know how people drive Teslas in LA, because everybody drives Teslas in LA. I don't know how you walk out into a parking lot and identify your car, because it's literally like every other car next to you. You'd have to memorize your plate, or maybe there's some feature built into the Tesla app that helps you locate your car, because everybody is driving Tesla. And that is a problem, because that means you have an increased network, population, volume, quantity of these potentially hazardous ticking time bombs waiting for their batteries to catch fire. But I would imagine that at some point in time, they'll probably say, you know what? Don't call the fire department when your Tesla's on fire, because there's nothing we can do besides waste taxpayers' money, which LA is actually really good at doing that, which I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. But more importantly, with the current situation that we're facing, the challenges of insurance, homeowners insurance, carriers like State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, Farm Bureau, they're all pulling out. Progressive, they're all pulling out because of increased risk. Successful businesses manage risk. Insurance companies are theoretically designed to do that. You pay them to protect you against risk of loss, risk of fire, risk of casualty, risk of flood, all these different things. But they don't actually want to do that. They really just want your money from the premium, and they don't want to actually do that. As a business, they want to manage their own risk, which is how much money they outflows, the payables. They want more money coming in, less money going out. So what do? They manage their risk by assessing each policy, each potential likely total loss of a claim. And I can tell you this right now, if your insurance company finds out, car insurance, homeowners insurance, or both, that you have a Tesla and it's at risk of its batteries catching on fire and burning down the car and potentially the house, the people in it, the neighbors, their vehicles, and every other dollar that will be racking up in their accountant's brains in the back room, odds are they're going to cancel and terminate your insurance policy. But wait, there's more, because Los Angeles specifically, and the great state of California, almost welcomes these disasters and these catastrophes. Now, granted, I understand that some people really like California. They love living there. And yeah, there are certain parts that are really, really nice, beautiful, pleasant. However, there's way more that's beneath the surface, behind the red tape, the bureaucracy, the politics that is slowly destroying California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, certain areas, certain cities, very popular destinations. And this is after we've already seen their housing market triple in value, making literally everything unaffordable there. All right, y'all, and get this, because the hits just keep on coming and it just continues to get better and better. Now check this out. It says that the first bus pulled into Los Angeles on June 14. It carried 43 men, women, and children. They had arrived days earlier in Texas, presented themselves to authorities, and asked for asylum in the United States. There, state officials who have no jurisdiction in immigration matters put them on buses and sent them to Los Angeles. The second bus pulled into Los Angeles on July 1 with 41 passengers aboard. The third on July 13, the fourth on July 18. All told, 7 buses so far have made the trip to LA, bringing a total of 283 people from the Texas border to the nation's second largest city. They have come from around the world: Colombia, Chile, Peru, Venezuela, Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Brazil, Haiti, El Salvador, Cuba, China, Cameroon, and of course, Mexico. The reception given these migrants in Texas and Los Angeles could not be more different. According to calmatters.org, Texas Governor Greg Abbott had done everything possible to make these people feel unwanted, placing buoys and razor wire in the Rio Grande to make entry dangerous, even lethal. And his office has instructed authorities to withhold food and water from the families trying to make their way to safety. In Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass and her administration regard those immigrants as people in need of help rather than as a blight to be eliminated. When the busloads arrive in Los Angeles, they are met by the LA Welcomes Collective, which provides the services that Abbott's administration deliberately denies. The asylum seekers barely exit the bus before they are given a quick medical check and offered food, water, and hygiene kits. Volunteer lawyers brief them on their legal rights, and they are quizzed about family who might take them in. Now, there is so much more to unpack here in this story. And if you guys would love to join me on reading this entire expose here and getting to the meat and potatoes of it, dissecting this and really understanding what's happening, what's going on, and what we should be preparing for, then by all means, please smash that like button and comment down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. And as always, I will ask of you to share this video with as many people as possible, specifically those who live in Texas, those who live in California, because this affects them and impacts them the most, but more so the folks of California. And this is far worse than burning Teslas and rising insurance prices and cancellation and termination, non-renewal of policies. But this is a much bigger picture, because ultimately what it says to me, and feel free to chime in and tell me your thoughts, but what it says to me is that California is hell-bent on destroying the state of California. And I'm talking about those in charge, those in power. And I'm saying it's not from a standpoint of migrants and immigrants and people, this, that, and the other. I'm saying from a financial perspective, California is spending so much money to destroy California that there is really no conceivable way that California can survive long term. Think about it. Unless the people of California, the residents, the taxpayers, support and supplement all these ridiculous expenses and costs that are not in the budget. Now, granted, some of the folks in California, some of the taxpayers may be descendants of migrants. They may be Tesla owners and drivers, and maybe even work for Tesla. But we have to understand the mathematical, generally accepted accounting principles behind the situation, and that is that California is more concerned about shelling out dollars and writing checks and creating stimulus programs for every individual group out there. I think they even have a monthly universal basic income if you just claim and attest to being trans. They are spending your money. They are spending your tax dollars that could be going to improve roads, improve infrastructure, create jobs, eliminate the homeless off the streets, which is literally driving the people out of California, pulling the homeless in. We talked about this before. Major hotel, real estate investment trust companies and investors are pulling out, defaulting on near multi-billion dollars of loans because they are no longer interested in operating in the state of California, in San Francisco and other cities that are slowly, actually now it's speeding up the destruction of these cities, where they will not have a customer base. They will not have a target market. They will have to worry about managing the vagrant population and their own safety and safety of their employees. Again, managing risk. Can you imagine being a multi-billion-dollar company and your employees are violently harmed by the neglect that you as a business and the position that you've put them in by surrounding them by so many mentally unstable individuals, usually typically under the influence of a controlled substance? And it's just not good for business. We've seen Whole Foods pull out. We've seen, who was the other one that pulled out? There was another big one that pulled out, but ultimately California is on a decline. Now, granted, there are instances of hundreds of thousands of people moving to California, but these Census Bureau data statistics are from the calculation of migrants coming to California. And it's not people returning to California, whereas those who are returning to California are ultimately forced to do so in order to maintain employment because their employer has mandated that they return to the office. But I can guarantee you this, they will find a way to get out. And they will leave in droves, mass exodus. And California will ultimately, before it falls into the ocean, as it breaks off on the next fault line and earthquake that could be potentially caused by, the push of a button. Or California has extreme drought, or California runs out of electricity. They shut down a nuclear power plant and they are unable to operate, and yet still continuously push for everyone to drive an EV electric vehicle, which, again, as we discussed earlier in the video, is a catastrophic hazard and deadly situation for some if they catch on fire. Look, I'm not trying to bash California. I'm just trying to bring you guys the truth. If you appreciate that, smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to check out the links in the description down below. Hit me up, comments, questions, concerns, share the video. I'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye.